Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today I'm going to be doing a video on tanking anxiety. This has been asked for me by quite a few people, and I did have one up in Shadowlands, but from Shadowlands to now I have learnt so much more, I've grown so much more. I'm not really the same person as much as I was then and now. How comfortable I am in tanking has obviously changed and grown, but there's a lot of things that I learned along the way, and how to deal with tanking anxiety, which I still get from time to time. Throughout all the thousands of keys that I've run over the course of the last few years, I still get it from time to time, and I'm going to be giving you tips and tricks and pointers and perception mentalities and things like that that you can help yourself, kind of get through it. Before we do get into it, though, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It goes such a long way to helping out the channel. I am trying to do this full time, so any love for Patreon. I cannot do this without the love and support of my Patreon supporters. There is a link down below if that's something that you wish to do. This video, in fact, is an early access patron reward. So if you want early access content, because sometimes I have a day off and I bang out like 6 videos in a day, and I just upload them and give them straight to my patrons as rewards. So that's something that you guys can do. There's a Twitch link down below if you want to watch me stream, and a Discord link if you want to come by, hang out with a wonderful community full of great people. Alright, so tanking anxiety, it's those butterflies that you get right before a key is going to go. The question in your head, can I even do this, comes up, and that's at any key level, right? Not everyone has the full-blown confidence to just go in and fail. Let's face it. My number one pointer, the number one thing that I can tell anyone that is trying to tank a key, learning to tank a key, anything of that sort, is you gotta remember, keys get failed all the time. Keys get depleted all of the time. You are not going to be the first one that's going to deplete a key. And throughout your WoW journey, your WoW experience, your tanking journey, there is there's not anyone online that has literally never failed a key. The question becomes, at what level does that key get failed, right? Because it's going to happen. Everyone's left a key that is just sure to be dead. Everyone has finished a key that has gone way over time. This is completely normal, and I know the WoW community likes to put itself out there that everyone is a Giga Chad and amazing at what they are, and they're the top DPS, and no, it doesn't matter. All those people have all failed keys as well. Sometimes they blame other people, sometimes they blame themselves. And therein lies the difference, right? But you have to remember, eventually you're going to deplete a key. Eventually something's going to fail, something's going to go wrong. Sometimes it's a disconnect where someone just DCs and doesn't ever come back. Sometimes that's also an Alt F4 from someone who failed a mechanic and is too embarrassed to continue. I've seen that happen too. But if you go into the key with that sort of mentality, that it's eventually going to happen. You are striving to time it, okay? Let's get that out there and forward. The whole goal of the Mythic plus key system is to go in and time it. So you don't want to going with the understanding, hey, we're just going to fail this key because Matt said all keys get failed from time to time. Yeah, they do, but you also have to go in with the effort of, we're going to time this. And I say we're going to time this because Mythic Plus is a 5-person content. It takes all 5 people working together to finish that dungeon. And while in some lower keys you can literally have one person really carrying the DPS or things like that, in Dragonflight, it's not one person who can kick or stun everything to get you to do that. It takes all 5 people working in unison to be able to get that key done, whether it's working through the affixes or, let's say the Ruby Life Pool ring up top. That is not easy trash, and it requires people to use their interrupts and use their stops. And sometimes 5 people don't mesh together. It happens. Okay, I've had plenty of keys where I have not been a fan of some of the people in those keys, and it does happen. But that's one thing you have to go in and realize it's going to happen from time to time, and it's okay. Learn from that experience. What went wrong? What could you have done better the next time to make that smoother? Could it be save a defensive? Could it be save a kick? Could it be save a stop? Could it be if I just angled my positioning a little bit differently as a tank? Could this have worked? And you'll notice that when you go in with that sort of I want to learn from my failures mentality, because you have to learn, is things are going to start going a lot smoother. And when you're with a group, this could be a 5-man pug or a group of friends, but if everyone has that mentality, and I've seen it in all sorts of people where like you see the reactions to how people now deal with a certain problem, and sometimes it's all 5 people do the exact same thing. I'm like, there's PTSD there from a past run that went bad. They're like, you see it in all 5 people and exactly how all 5 people react. I've never spoken to these people aside from the pugs that we're in and the howdies or the yos that we get in and all right, let's do this. And you can tell that there is some sort of PTSD failure there with how they react. And it's so incredibly fun to see, but it's something that you have to go through and learn as a group, and there are some things that, especially with the community and the dungeon knowledge, that you just have to learn by doing, and sometimes that means learning by failing. It's okay to say, hey guys, I'm not super comfortable with this dungeon yet at the start. I have a route, let's keep it basic, and let's just go through this, and that way you're setting the expectations up front. Some people might leave the key right before it starts, and that is fine. You want that to happen before the key enters the keystone thing, the patente. My French just came out there. You want that happening because that person, the moment something goes wrong, was probably going to leave anyway and kill your key. That's a good thing. Okay, I have seen many times where I've said something, hey, I'm doing something this way, or this or that, and the person's like, nope, F this, I'm out. And I'm like, all right. The moment I would have done it anyway without saying something, the guy would have left and just been like, well, screw this, and killed the key, right? So that is a good thing. Sometimes people leave and it's because you don't want them there. And while you're learning, you just have to go through and put that step forward. Take the baby step. Some people think it's one gigantic leap. Oh, I'm learning how to tank point A to point B. No, man, B is actually Z, and there's the whole alphabet in the middle, and it's all these baby steps that you pick along the way. I did not become the tank that I have, and I'm not stating that I'm the best tank in the world, because I am absolutely not. But I can go into pretty much any dungeon and figure out what I'm doing very, very quickly. And if something does go wrong, I can fix it. Okay, I've learned that mentality. I've learned Shadowlands pugging was a whole new ballgame for learning things like that. But you kind of learn things along the way. WoW mechanics as well, and this is one thing that tends to get overwhelmed, right? People tend to look at World of Warcraft mechanics and dungeons and be like, there's so much. Yet there is, but a lot of them can be broken down to very simply. Dispels, purges, kicks, and stops are going to be pretty much 80% of what you need to do, and the other 20% is avoiding frontals and swirlies. What exactly those are branches off into a million different things, sure, but the main WoW components of what a dungeon is really gets broken down to those. Those are the big things. Avoid frontals and swirlies. I mean, sometimes as a tank you have to eat the frontal, so know your defensives. Kick stuff, stop stuff, dispel stuff, and purge stuff if you have it. And by dispel purge is, take the bad thing off of you or take the bad thing off of an enemy. Like, it's really not that complicated. And when you start realizing that these are simple mechanics that they've added complexity, but the root is very simple, things start getting a lot better for you. Because sometimes especially in Ruby life pools, I see people never using their purge. Shamans, demon hunters, whatever, priests as well. And they're like, I don't know why this trash pack is so hard. It's because you've had other people purging for you the whole time, and they've got a debuff that makes them cast 50% faster, and life is hellish because you won't press the button. Sometimes it's just what it is, because it is 5-man content that you guys have to do together. So as a tank, know your role, okay? You're expected to do a lot as a leadership role as a tank. You really are, especially in pugs. What happens is, in higher end content, once you start reading, getting to those bleeding edge keys, tanks become less and less the shot callers in those groups. And it tends to be more of a ranged DPS that tends to do all of the callouts, because the tank is just trying to live. But that breaks down what is a tank's role in Mythic Plus. Hold threat, don't die. Okay? Worry about your DPS after. If you are holding threat and you are not dying, and you've got a decent route, you know, things are going good, your main thing is just do that and you will get through the dungeon. Especially while you're learning. Hold threat, don't die, then worry about your DPS later. Now, your DPS is going to make it easier, obviously, to hold threat. That's going to happen. So you're going to have to know your class and your spec well enough to be like, okay, these are my cooldowns, this is what I do. And always plan for an oh shit. What do I do in an oh shit moment? Is that I've taken a lot of damage? Is that I've lost threat? Think about these things beforehand and get that button ready and close by. Get your taunt on an easy to access button, so the moment you lose that threat, because it's gonna happen, I still lose threat in 20s now, it does happen, where someone just didn't get, a mob didn't get hit the right way, or whatever have you not, and I just didn't get enough threat on him, and he's now going after my enhanced shaman, my shadow priest, or something, and now all of a sudden, I have to have that oh shit moment, I need threat. Okay, it's gonna happen, and it's fine. But if you pre-plan for oh shit moments, because there will always be oh shit moments. Let me get that very straight. There's never a point in keys where there isn't, and that's what makes it fun, right? How do you react to that? And you can pre-think that ahead. How do I react to losing threat? Do I just watch them walk away, or do I do something, right? Okay, what do I do? You can think these out pretty clearly. Now, some of these are pretty simple answers, but sometimes they don't get super simple answers. And things just come along, right? You can always ask, hey, Drew, can you vortex this? I need help. Can you, whatever, have you not? You might have gotten a few too many mortal hues, and you're like, oh crap, I have nothing to stop this. I need to run away. Can you typhoon these away from me for a second while I run the other way? Whatever have you not. If you're in a 5-man pug with no comms, this can get a little complicated. But if you're in friends with comms and things like that, it can get a little bit easier. And sometimes people have more tank anxiety when it comes to just pugging. And sometimes it's tank anxiety when you're tanking for your friends and you don't care, and you've never spoken to the pug, so to that it doesn't bother you. It comes in all shapes and forms. But if you keep these things that I've talked about in mind, right, keys will fail eventually. It's going to happen. Take your baby steps. Learn what you're doing. You will get there and you will get good. It's all a process. But the more that you commit yourself to getting good, watching guides, watching anything that you can, it's fine. Once you start getting into the higher keys, this is where I really started having that my first form of tank anxiety was just getting in the door, right? Okay, I'm tanking, okay, holy crap. And then once I got comfortable with that, and I got my KSM, this was my first KSM years ago, and I'm like, okay, crap. Now this is going to be my first 20. I remember that one being like, oh, and I had the worst first pull ever. It was terrible. I just did crap. I died. I got brezzed. I died again. I was shaking, and it was just a miserable time. A healer friend of mine at the time was like, relax. It's just a spicy 15. That's all it is. It's a spicy 15. And that stuck with me. Right? That honestly stuck with me. And if you keep that mentality about anything, if you're used to 5s and you're going into 10s, it's just a spicy 5. If you're in 10s right now and you're comfortable there and you go to 15s, it's just a spicy 10. But how you perceive how big or difficult the content is can really change your style of play. So, it's all about kind of bringing it back down to normal. A 20 is just a 20. Okay, it's a number. It's a spicy 15, if that's the way you want to look at it. It's a really spicy 10. It's an extra spicy 5. But how you break it down and you just make yourself stop and smile about it and relax, things are going to get a lot better for you. But yeah, know your class, know your keybinds, pre-plan your oh shit moments, because they're going to happen. Don't ever think a run is going to not have an oh shit moment. But those FOMO moments can be some of the most fun you're going to have. They can be pretty terrible, but they can be a lot of fun at the same time. So that's what I got for you guys for tank anxiety today. It's fine. Everybody's gone through it. Go through your own motions, whether it's you only tank 5s for a while and you move on up slowly, or whether you make bigger leaps. That's on you and for you to know, but your perception and your mentality going into that escalated key that you might not be used to is going to be very, very important. So I thank everybody for listening today. I hope you guys have yourselves a good one. I hope your tanking journey goes insanely well. Dragonflight has been incredibly fun for tanks. Tanks are in a really, really good spot. You start seeing the gap in how good or bad they are when you start getting up to much higher keys. But whatever tank spec you are playing right now, you can have an amazing amount of fun with it in all forms of content. So thank you very much for listening, everyone. Have yourselves a good one, and happy tanking.